12-year-old Oscar Gradecki is fast on his feet and with his fingers, and so is his mother. American Sign Language, or ASL, is a major part of how Michelle Gradecki and her son communicate today, but he almost didn't learn it.
I was told that's really not the best option. We really want him to speak. Sign language is going to prevent him from speaking, and you just really want him to say, "Mom, Michelle." Like that's what you want, right? And of course I want that. What parent didn't want that?
Oscar was diagnosed with a rare type of hearing loss at 18 months old. At the time, Michelle says speech pathologists discouraged their family from learning ASL. Instead, they suggested he get cochlear implants, small electronic devices that stimulate the hearing nerve, and undergo therapy to learn to speak. But that didn't work right away.
I sacrificed language development chasing that dream of speech.
That's echoed by other parents in a Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission report 6 years ago. It shares criticisms of the province's early childhood hearing services, offered through the Saskatchewan Pediatric Auditory Rehab Centre, also known as SPARC. Specifically, it says, parents who reported being discouraged against using ASL are of the view that their children were essentially deprived of a language during a critical window of development. But SPARC says it focuses on the medical approach first, so it doesn't prioritize sign language.
We have a staff of essentially 1.5 people, which isn't a big staff. So we really are not in a position to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
Audiologist Lynn Brewster says if families choose to go through with cochlear implants, all the effort should be spent on trying to make those work, especially because most of the time, deaf babies are born into hearing families. And she says parents want their children to be part of their speaking culture. Brewster says SPARC does suggest ASL, but only after the auditory rehabilitation doesn't work. She also says that teaching children sign language alongside that auditory rehab often delays their speech. But some experts say a very pervasive and very unconscious stigma is also behind that reluctance.
We're all kind of going, well, it would be nice if deaf people could learn to talk, because that means I don't have to do anything. It makes my life easier.
Joanne Weber holds the Canada Research Chair in Deaf Education. She says research shows using both ASL and speech development tools work.
Because if the cochlear implant and the auditory rehabilitation does not work, at least you have given that child a language.
Weber says it also means a child's social and emotional development aren't stalled, and it allows them to learn at the same rate as hearing children. But when ASL is used as a last resort, Weber says it can lead to language deprivation, and that can make it difficult for kids to speak, read, or write. Ray Marie Richardson works with those kids at Saskatchewan Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services, a nonprofit that helps families learn ASL. But she says by that point, many are struggling with mental health issues.
They've had inadequate access to information, and the frustrations are like ingrained into them, and all they're used to is being frustrated.
It's a feeling 19-year-old Fatima Tun Nafisa knows all too well. She was born with a severe hearing loss, but in Bangladesh. Nafisa's parents tried teaching her to read lips and worked on her speech with the help of hearing aids. It's something doctors were pushing them to do. When she was 13, they moved to Saskatchewan, and they received the same advice.
I just felt so deflated, and I didn't understand who I was or where my place was in the world and what kind of person I was or going to be. Was I going to be normal, or am I not normal?
2 years later, Nafisa transferred to a high school program for deaf and hard of hearing people. And it was through that and deaf theater she learned the power of ASL and the community that comes along with it.
I've become independent, and I can continue that way. And that's how I've changed my life. I feel happy now.
That's why Michelle Gradecki chose to learn ASL alongside her son using videos for babies. And she says it actually improved his speech so he can sign and talk.
Could you imagine your life without sign language?
No.
How come?
It's impossible to learn without sign language.
In an updated Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission report just released in October, 15 key issues remain unresolved. Among them, making sure families with kids diagnosed with hearing loss are given more options. And Michelle's advice to other parents in her shoes is to fight for alternatives for their children.
I think just giving them every option and every opportunity until they're old enough to make that decision, it'll make you feel so much better. You won't lose so much sleep at night.
And Michelle says because of those options, her son is a confident, happy boy who can express himself however he wants. Jessie Anton, CBC News, Regina.